Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, in this video, we're going to talk about Glocke, or the bell, which I actually do not know a lot about, but I will tell you what I do know. Basically, long story short, the bell is a time travel device. Also capable of flight. Okay. Now, if you guys haven't watched my, Vril video, then you guys need to check that out. If I have it uploaded before this one, you need to check that out. It'll explain a little bit more and it's kind of the basics to what we're going to be talking about here. So, Glocke is only mentioned once in any document we have from World War II. It is only mentioned once, and that's it. So it's a little odd. What is the bell? No one really knows. But for whatever reason, I think it's really linked to the Vril Society. This Vril Society, if you want to call them that, or the Vrilia, from what I know, or if I remember correctly, it's mostly made of women. I mean, not to say that there aren't males in part of it, but I think it's mostly made up of women, and that sort of thing. So, but these guys were given this schematic, if you will, to build a anti-gravity propulsion system, which basically, I mean, it doesn't make anything hover, if that makes sense. What it does, and this is really simple to understand. On Earth, we have gravity. When you jump, you come back down. I mean, fairly quickly. You're only in the air for maybe a second. If you don't have gravity, though, on Earth, if you jump, you're going to keep flying in the air. So you're not levitating. What it simply does is it enables this ship to not be restricted by what gravity would, restrict us by. So, let's say you somehow had a jetpack that had this anti-gravity propulsion system. Because it's on your back, you're still going to weigh it down. You're going to weigh the thing down, but the backpack itself is, of course, going to be weightless. Let's say it weighs, for whatever reason, 100 pounds. We'll say 200 pounds. I mean, we'll say 300 even. Because obviously it's anti-gravity. If there's no gravity, it's basically going to weigh 30 pounds. And of course your weight, which may be 130, 200, whatever. So, this jetpack will have the anti-gravity propulsion system, which basically makes you weightless, or at least this backpack or jetpack would be, but it's not the actual propulsion. So then what you could do with that is many, many different things. You could probably use some sort of electromagnetic field sort of thing and, bend, I guess, the air or something like that to give you propulsion or something similar. Or you could just have jet engines or something like that. Which is exactly how I thought UFOs used to work when I was younger. They just had like 16 or 20 different jet engines, one facing in all directions, and when they needed to go a different direction, they just switched the power off to one, and it would start up the other. That's honestly what I thought. I think it would work, but the Gforce would kill you, unless you were on a gyro system. Then it wouldn't kill you, because at that point the Gforce wouldn't matter. As long as you were able to kind of move with the ship, if that makes any sense. You didn't actually just jerk. You were just moving along with the ship. Then, of course, that would, that would make a little bit more sense. But, anyways, getting back to this, basically, what I'm getting to is that it would take, say you had it on a UFO. You build a UFO for whatever reason. and you put this anti-gravity propulsion system on it, you know, made it a little bit bigger, you perfected it and stuff like that. Something that weighed 100 tons would probably end up weighing 1,000 pounds or whatever. So let's say you have jet engines that actually make it weigh 1,000 tons. You've got one or two, maybe three or whatever, and you're only wanting to go one direction. And those jet engines are designed to push at least 500 tons, 500 tons worth of weight. And you've got three of them. So if you want to just basically be able to move pretty fast, you could fire up both of them, and you can move, you know, on your own. It's not that big of a deal. But if you fire up all three, you will be able to move, of course, a lot faster. But if you have the anti-gravity propulsion system within this UFO-based craft, and your craft only weighs 1,000 pounds, and you've got three of these engines, you're going to be hitting Mach like 500. And maybe not that fast, but you're going to be going pretty damn fast if you wanted to. I mean, humans can only sustain so many G-forces. But let's say you just had a bunch of robots. You know, you just built something that, which, you know, for me, it doesn't make any sense. I don't see how G-force is a factor, and it's kind of odd, because obviously when a ship is moving, you're usually sucked back to something else, but I don't know. I still don't get G-force. I know how it works, but it doesn't make any sense to me sometimes. Because it's the plane is moving, and if you're not jumping up and down, it's not going to move, you know, under you, if that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? So if you jump up for a second, I mean, you might get slammed into the wall because it moves so fast. But as long as you're a part of it, I don't see how there's any G-force, you know, with it. If you're just like, okay, I'm going to stand in one spot and it just stops, I don't see why you would keep going forward, because you're inside of the ship. The air is not different. This, you know, the ship just simply stopped, and you're technically a part of it if both of your feet are on the ground, but, you know, it's whatever. Apparently your body keeps going forward is basically how all of this works. So you die. But let's just say they had robots or whatever, and they decided to get it to fly that way, and like I said, it would go really fast. But getting to the storyline, what is Die Glocke? It is believed that this craft that was built, called the Bell, was in the shape of a bell, as well as being Nazi-ish in nature. You know, it had the symbols and everything like that. It was also capable of time travel. Now, we don't know if they ever got it to work, but if they did, I mean, we would never know. But then I started thinking, okay, well, what is in the shape of a bell in our storyline? Well, of course, the teleporters. But there's a bunch of them. And they're all bell-ish shaped. You know, very odd. But they don't really look like bells that much, but they are in the shape of, you know, more vertical type-ish bells. I mean, some bells are more horizontal, if you know what I mean. They're a little bit wider than they are tall. And so I started thinking, well, what if that's not what the Die Glocke piece of paper in Shin Onuma is talking about? I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that's basically where Die Glocke comes in. It's already in the Nazi zombie storyline, but, you know, what if that's not what it's talking about? What if it's actually talking about one of the many, many different craft built by Germany, which were UFOs? I mean, they had like 10 different UFOs built and that sort of thing. And of course they had bombers and jets and stuff like that. They had rockets before anyone else. I mean, they had everything. So yeah. I mean, that's basically it. Like I said, I don't really know that much about Die Glocke. But that's how it fits into the storyline. It's possibly the teleporters, or it's something we haven't seen, which would be a UFO. Unless the teleporters are capable of flight, which is entirely possible, but, we don't know. But something I did want to get into, I was watching this thing the other day about the same thing we're talking about, and they were talking about how Operation Paperclip, they got a bunch of Nazi scientists, people, and they brought them over here to America. Now, I already knew about that. I mean, anyone who knows anything about NASA would, or should know that at least. I mean, NASA was started by a German who was in the Nazi thing, and I believe was an SS person. So, what does that tell you about America? Just kidding. But, this guy, I believe it was him or someone else he worked with or something like that, but they came over here. And on his deathbed, it is quoted that, the world, I guess, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, the world will be shocked at what we hid from them all these years or something like that, if they ever find out. It's like, if the world ever finds out what we kept secret from them, it'll change the world forever, I believe is exactly what he said. I mean, maybe not exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. And, I don't want to say he actually said that, but I mean, there's a lot of things that go on, in plain view and no one says a damn thing. You see what I'm saying? If you guys watch some Jesse Ventura, man, I can't talk. There was an episode he was talking about like JFK and that sort of thing, and how basically a guy that knows a lot, I mean, on his deathbed basically said that it's basically an inside job. But of course the news media never covered that, and nobody followed with that, even though they have it on video that this guy basically on his deathbed gave out this information, and then of course he died. I mean, not too much longer, I don't think. So, I mean, you really gotta, I don't know, man, it's really crazy. I'm getting into all other sorts of things, but, I mean, we're talking about Die Glocke, or the bell. So, yeah. But that's basically it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know we're getting into a conspiracy side of everything, but it is a important side of the storyline. And so I'm going to cover a few other things, I think, within the conspiracy-ish realm. I'm not sure exactly what, though, yet. I do want to cover the wonder weapons themselves, as far as where I think they came from and that sort of thing. We'll get into all of that. But for now, that is it. Be sure to like the video, because it does help. Do all that cool stuff. I mean, everybody who watches YouTube videos should know. Subscribe, like the video, do all that. But, let me know in the comments below what video I should do next, like what should I talk about or whatever. If it's just, I mean, anything. I mean, if it's like, hey, you need to talk about this because no one else does, I'll cover it. I'll do my best to cover it as much as possible. If possible, I will do a lot of research beforehand, and then I'll do a video over it. But, yeah, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do for my next one, but that's it. Talk to you guys later.